Today we'll take a short pause from algebra and we'll do an introduction to geometry. In a few lectures we'll combine both algebra and geometry together. So today we'll be talking about the coordinate plane. But first, remember our old number line. We talked about this a few lectures ago. On the right side of 0, we have positive numbers. On the left side of 0, we have negative numbers. Well, now we're going to add another dimension to our line, and this runs up and down. We had a number line here. It's almost like we've just added another one flipped about 90 degrees. And do you see how the horizontal line, which goes this way, the horizontal line is called the x-axis. Sometimes you'll see a little x like this. And the vertical line, which goes up and down, is called the y-axis. Again, sometimes you'll see a little y like that. Also notice that half of each line is negative. We have, this would be a 0 here. We have negative numbers on the left side of the x-axis, and then we have negative numbers just below on the y-axis. This is very important, and it will come in handy in just a few minutes. A graph like this is called a coordinate plane or a grid. Today we will learn to plot points on a coordinate plane. Welcome to geometry. Now when you plot a point on the coordinate plane, it's often called an ordered pair. Ordered pairs are just pairs, remember that because that means two, pairs of numbers that are shown like this. The first number, comma, and the second number, and it will always be shown in parentheses. The first number that you see, in this case the 3, corresponds to the x-coordinate, or the x-axis. And the second number that you see, in this case a 2, corresponds to the y-coordinate, or the y-axis. So it will always be written like this, parentheses, the x number, comma, and then the y number. So the point 3, 2 means that x is 3 at the same time that y is 2. So let's plot the ordered pair 3, 2 on a coordinate plane. So first we need to put a dot on the x-axis. Use the first number in the parentheses, which is a 3, and plot x equals 3. Remember, we have the x-axis and the y-axis. So I know if my point is 3, 2, that it's x, y. So when x is 3, that's where I put my dot. And notice that I had to go to positive 3. Sometimes you'll have negative numbers here, but in this case, x was positive 3. Next, you need to move your point up or down to account for the y-coordinate in your ordered pair, which is right here. I need to find y equals 2. That's positive 2, so make sure that you go up, and here we are. On the y-axis, I need to go up to 2. So I was down here at x equals 3. Now I need to make sure that I also account for the y value, which is 2. There it is. And did you notice that the x-axis and the y-axis intersect at 0? Maybe you noticed that on the previous page. The point 0, 0 right here is special. It is called the origin and is located right in the center of your coordinate plane. Let's try plotting a point that uses 0 and a negative number. Let's plot point 0, -5, and remember this would be x, y. So we're going to plot the ordered pair 0 and -5. We'll have to find the x value first, which is 0. And what that means is right here in the middle. That's where my dot is going to be. When x is 0, what should the y value be? We'll have to plot -5 next. So -5 on the y-axis is going to be going down. And here it is. There's my point. That's point 0 and -5. You can also double check yourself. Is x 0? It's go up and see. It is. It's 0. Is y -5? Yes, it is. So you see that a point can fall on an axis, or a point can fall in the space between the axes. It could be anywhere. Let's practice for a second. Write the coordinates for each of these points. I've given you 3. We'll do the first one together. This is point A. Now remember, a coordinate is a pair, an ordered pair. It's going to have some number, comma, and then another number. And remember, the first number is going to be the x-axis. The second number is the y-axis. And I see that this graph's not labeled, so let me just remind you, this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. So what's the x value here for point A? Go down to where it crosses the x-axis. Dot, 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 dot. 1, 2. So x is 2, but what is the y value? You have to have an x and a y for your pair. Go over. Where does this line cross the y-axis? Right here at +3. That means that my coordinates for point A are 2 and 3. Make sure you use your parentheses. There. So pause the video for a second and write the coordinates for points B and C. All right, for point B, remember we have to have an x and a y. Let's do the x first. Go up and see where this dotted line crosses your x-axis, and it's right here at 5. Now some students make the mistake of stopping here, and they'll say, oh, the coordinates are 5 and 0. No, it's not. You have to make sure that you're accounting for the fact that the B is not right here. You've seen where it intersects the x-axis, but your B has actually gone down from 0. It's gone down in the negative direction. How far down did it go? Looks like -3. So your point for B would be 5 and -3. Let's do C. Here's C. Where does this line intersect my x-axis? Go up and take a look. It's at -1. And where does my line intersect the y-axis? It's at -5. So point C is -1 and -5. Let's do another practice. Try plotting some of these points on your own. Put them all on the same coordinate plane. So you've been given a point A and you've been given 2 coordinates. That's called an ordered pair. Remember, the first one is x and the second one is y. That's how we're going to do it. We have our y-axis here and we have our x-axis here, and it looks like every single line represents 1. So let's put x equals 7. There it is. That's only one of my points though, right? Or my coordinates. Let's do y equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's y equals 4. But remember, it's 1 point, not 2. So where do these meet? And here they go. They crossed right there. So that is point A. Point A has x equals 7 at the same time that y equals 4. All right, let's do point B. Again, it's x comma y. X will be -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there, at the same time that y is 10, way up here, 10. So figure out where these lines connect. There it is there. That's point B. When x is -5 and y is 10 at the same time, you'll get point B. Point C here, x is -9. At the same time that y is -3. Right here. And point C. So pause for a second and figure out where to plot point D. So I hope you remembered that the points are shown x comma y like that. When x is 4, it would be right here. When y is -6, it would be here. And where do they intersect? Right there. That is point D. All right, so I have some more points for you here to plot, but I want you to notice this time how each axis is labeled. Only the even numbers are marked. Previously, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the way. This time, they've skipped. They've just put it 2, 4, 6, 8. You really have to look carefully to see how a coordinate plane is labeled. Sometimes you'll see, like, for instance, where each of these hash marks represents 10 or even 100. So pay attention to how it's labeled. Make sure you know your x-axis and your y-axis, and get started. So point A at 2 and 5. When x is 2, y is 5, just like we did before. So pause the video here and complete B, C, and D. Okay, so I went ahead and finished plotting these points. I think they were fairly straightforward. Here's B at x equals -9 and y equals 6. Here's C at x is 7 and y is -2. And then D, I had x as -5, but there was no change for the y. The y was 0, so it has to stay on this axis here. 0 goes 2, 1, 0. So there's point D. Another important feature of coordinate planes is that they are divided into 4 quadrants or quarters. If you think about money, how many quarters are in a dollar? 4. Well, how many quadrants? Quarter. How many quadrants are in a coordinate plane? 4. And you'll see the Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I do want to show you one trick that I use to help myself remember where the quadrant number 1 starts. I remember that coordinate plane starts with a C, and I make a giant C on top of my coordinate plane. Wherever I put my pencil at the very beginning, that's where I say number 1. So a C would start like this and go shoo, right? So start here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I'm doing my work, I would just remember 1, 2, 3, 4. And the interesting thing to look at is that the points in quadrant 1, the x and the y value are both positive. Here's the positive x values, here's the positive y values. If you have a point in quadrant 2, the x value is negative, but the y value is positive. All points in quadrant 3 have negative x values and negative y values. Negative x and negative y. And in quadrant 4, your x values will be positive and your y values will be negative over here. So let's practice again. Look at the points that have been plotted for you and determine which quadrant each point is in. All right, the first thing I would do here is I would remember the C for coordinate plane, and I would make myself a giant C like that. Okay, I started here, right? Like that. This was quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4, or in Roman numerals, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in quadrant 1, what do I have? Over here, I have A, I have D, and that's it. And in quadrant 2, what do I have? I have G, and I have J. So go ahead and pause here and finish this up. All right, quadrant 3. What points do I have here? I have F, and I have I. In quadrant 4, I see a C and an H. But wait a second. What did you do with these points here? B and E. the points that fell directly on an axis? That was tricky. If a point is located on an axis, it is not considered to be in any quadrant. I used to think that you could say that it was between the two quadrants, but that's not considered acceptable. Just say that it's not in any quadrant. E and B do not lie in any quadrant. So now let's plot 2 points on a coordinate plane and connect them together. This is called a line segment. Use the points A at 4 and 7 and B at -5 and -4. So we're going to plot 2 points and then connect them. This reminds me of connect the dots. Remember, we have X and Y. It always goes in that order. Let's make sure we label our X-axis. This is our Y-axis. And let's look and see how the lines are marked. So it's going by even numbers, but this is 1, 2, 3. So every line represents 1. Okay, that's not bad. Plot point A at X is 4 and Y is 7. Here's point A. Plot point B at X is -5. Let's say -5 would be -2, -3, -4, -5. And Y is -4. -1, 2, 3, 4. There. Find out where they meet. Here we go. And that's point B. Let's use a ruler. Now a line segment only connects the dots. It doesn't go any farther than each dot. Next time we'll be doing them farther, which is actually called a line. But today it's just a line segment. Connect the dots, like so. Last one. Make a line segment connecting the following 2 points. A at -6 and 4, and B at 3 and -8. All right, A. X, comma, Y. There we go. X is -6, right here. Y is 4, right here. There we go. That's point A. Point B, X is 3, and Y is -8, right here. The directions say make a line segment that connects the following 2 points. Just connect the dots. Don't have it go any farther. No arrows, nothing. That would show a line. All right, great. Very nice today. I hope that you had a little bit of a review of geometry. And for those of you who really haven't had much or any geometry, I hope that you have a basic understanding now. Thank you.